if you guys start selling it, you'll do really well with it. If you just leave it on the display here and let people pick it up, nobody's gonna buy it. So basically, anything that gets stinky that you can't throw in a washing machine, this stuff's awesome for. So helmets, bike shoes, some of your armor. We actually sell a ton of it to people for hockey gear as well. So basically, you just shake it up, you spray it, it foams right up. It's super antibacterial. It's gonna kill all the stink in your stuff. You just let it evaporate, and it goes away. My main selling point on this stuff is any of your, I pick a price point, maybe $150 up helmet. And I often actually take a bottle of this and keep it wherever your helmet display is, and be like, hey, you know, you just spent somewhere between $150 and $500 on a new helmet. Let's make it so it doesn't stink after 5 months, and it'll last you for a few years. And then most people will just be like, okay, cool, yeah, that makes sense. So, and it's kind of one of those things.
Shoes, it'd be really good for.
Great for shoes.
I got stinky feet, so I may buy one.
Yeah.
Test it out myself.
Yeah, and it's kind of one of those things where if they buy it once and they like it, which most people do, they just keep coming back and buying more and more of it. Where, again, if you just leave this on the display here and don't talk to people about it, it won't go anywhere. So it's on you guys to move that stuff. Bike wash, this is their #1 selling product. It's their first product they've made. This is what started Muc-Off. And it's basically bike wash for your bike. So this is not for your drivetrain, it's for your frame and all the painted stuff. So basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna spray your bike down with a hose. You're gonna spray this all over your bike. You're gonna let it sit for a few minutes. Then you're gonna basically take a brush and brush it down and spray it back off. And it's gonna do a great job cleaning up your bike.
Do water.
With water, exactly. So they use technology in here. So a lot of people don't know this, but bubbles are what actually kind of get into all the crevices and break apart the dirt. So one of the main questions people are going to ask you is, why would I use this and why don't I just use dish soap? Two main reasons. Dish soap is designed to do with big bubbles that really does a good job of cleaning like a plate or a bowl, something without a whole bunch of crevices and hard to get places. So these bubbles you're actually going to see are quite small. When they get on the bike, they're very small bubbles. So it gets into all the little crevices. The other thing that they've designed this to do is not dull your paint. If you use dish soap, your paint will start to look dull quite quickly, where this will keep your paint looking really fresh. So when you sell this, tell them to keep the bottle and then come back and buy this. This is concentrate of this. So this little packet here is 4 liters, so 4 of these. So basically there's 4 little packets in here of recycled plant material. Actually is what's in the container or what holds it. And you just rip it apart, open, pour it in there, fill it up with water, shake it up, and you have more bike wash. So so they're trying to do more and more of that.
Recycle your bottle.
Recycle the bottle. So keep the bottle, rebuy with that. This is a relatively new product. It's waterless wash, and this is one of my favorites. I use this all the time. It was originally designed for people that didn't have access to a hose, because with this you need to spray down your bike first and after. So this basically, to shake it up, you spray it all on your bike. You let it sit for a few minutes, and then you take a rag, wipe it off, and buff it. And it's ridiculous. Like, I don't know what kind of magic science they have in here, but it works so good. The other thing is, this is also infused. It's a 2-in-1. It's infused with a polish. So you don't need bike protect as well if you buy this. So
that's like frame parts and
Yeah.
stuff like that, not drivetrain.
absolutely not drivetrain.
Yeah.
100% needs to stay away from brakes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because
even more so than any soap.
yeah, because it has a polish in.
Yeah.
Like, it will lube your brakes.
Yeah.
Actually, be careful around if you ever use it in the shop, or tell people to be careful. If it gets on your floor, it becomes a skating rink.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
my wife took a
use it
tumble
outside.
once. Outside, I
Or
use it.
somewhere you can hose it down.
I used it inside, but I put a rag down just to make sure that. 'Cause, yeah, my wife took a tumble and I got in trouble. So, the reason why I use it actually is for my mountain bike, and I got sick of constantly having squeaky pivots. And every time if you're constantly spraying down your bike, you're spraying the grease out of your pivots. So I started using this rather than spraying down my bike, and it's done a pretty good job of making my bike look clean, but I'm not having a squeaky bike all the time.
Yeah, you're not putting water in all those pivot points and joints.
Exactly. Yeah. So, so that's the waterless wash. Drivetrain cleaner. So this stuff up here cleans your frame.
Mm-hmm.
This down here is going to clean your drivetrain. So, it's biodegradable, like non-aerosol, so good for the planet. You're basically going to spray it on your drivetrain like any other degreaser. Do what you do with the degreaser. So again, same idea is up here. You're going to sell them this the first time, and then the next time you're going to tell them to buy this, but to keep their top. Because the top can screw on this. This gets you more at a better bang for your buck. So same idea. They're trying to, be better for the planet whenever possible. So buy this your first time, buy the refill your second time, and that top will screw right on here.
Does it need the water for cleaning?
When you're done, yes. So you don't degrease it and then lube it. You degrease it and then take some water after you've cleaned it off to make sure you get all the degreaser off before you lube the chain.
All right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So you can see here the way we have this set up. Step one, clean your bike. So we've cleaned your frame, we've cleaned your drivetrain. Now it's time to protect your frame. So step two, protect your bike. So tubeless sealant, pretty straightforward. It's sealant for your tubeless tires. They do something that's pretty unique. So you have on back order a smaller version of this as well. That smaller packet will do basically 2 mountain bike tires. So it'll do your bike.
One you can use.
Yeah. The nice thing about that little container is if you undo the top, it's the exact diameter of a tubeless valve. So you literally just take out your valve core, put it right on, squeeze it. You don't need a
String.
exactly. Yeah. The other thing that's really neat about this is it's infused with UV. And the reason why they do that is if you have a slow leak, if you shine a UV light on it, it'll glow. If you have a leak you're having a hard time finding, this will help you. The ceramic lubes are also infused with UV, and they actually come
Find out how
with
well
the UV light. So whenever you sell anybody this sealant, always show them this lube because they get the light. Not a lot of people have a UV light sitting at home. So if you see how it glows? Yeah. So that's what you're going to see on. So say you have a slow leak, you go over your tire. Oh, there's where the slow leak is. Or maybe you don't have a slow leak, but hey, I'm going to go up to Quebec for a week of riding. I don't get to do this very much, get away from the kids. I don't want to miss a day of riding. I want to make sure my bike's in tip-top shape. Go over your tire. If there's a bunch of glowing blue dots, that means the sealant's done its job a few times. Maybe throw a new tire on before you go, or I go over it, there's no glowing blue dots, my tire's good. So
We did a tire the other day that the whole sidewall of it was just bleeding all throughout it.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, well, it's like, that'll all seal up. And I'm like, yeah, but it's been sealed up quite a few times.
exactly. So this is super handy. So anytime you and you can also get a really big 5-liter version of it. So a lot of shops have been using it. And then, so customer comes in, get a tubeless tire install, and then just like, hey, we've used Muc-Off sealant in here. It's UV infused. If you want a UV light to check it, here's where you get your UV light from if you need some new chain lube while you're at it. So
And then with that, it would work to tell you how much lubricant's on your chain. Right?
Exactly.
I'm guessing that's the principle there.
exactly. So basically, you can go over your chain and see if you missed any spots. Or it's probably not going to work super good about like, hey, do I need more lube? It's more if I missed it the first time
Because
around.
there's some there.
Exactly. Yeah. Because eventually your goal is to try to get the lube inside the little rollers. So, yeah, but it's great for your initial application. to make sure A, you don't put on too much, or B, you don't put on too little. So,
The UV works on outside or just for inside? As well?
Anywhere.
Anywhere.
Yeah, as long as you have the UV, the little UV light, it'll glow. Yeah, it doesn't have to be inside or outside. Yeah. So that's the sealant. And then the big one actually comes with this tube, which also will fit right over your valve, so you don't need a syringe for this either. So,
Perfect.
so Bike Protect. I call this new bike in a can. Basically, you just shake it up, spray it on your frame, let it sit for a few minutes, and then take a nice clean cloth, wipe it down. Your bike will look brand new. It's ridiculous. This stuff works so good. A lot of shops have actually started using this when they have a bike tune-up, just because
It just makes it look pretty. Yeah.
they leave and they're like, holy crap, look what you did to my
So
bike.
is it like a polish then, or
Yeah.
is it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a polish and a protected.
Yeah.
Only
no,
use it on
it's-
gloss paint though. Yeah, if you have, because it'll
It's just gonna look shiny.
it'll look shiny. If you have a matte bike, you use the matte. So it's pretty straightforward. Bike Protect is for gloss paint, matte finish is for matte paint. Grease, it's pretty straightforward. It's grease. Honestly, 90% of this will probably go to people buying pedals.
Anytime
case.
you need for anything now,
Exactly.
you have it.
It's good grease. It's good for ball bearings, all that stuff as well. But what you're gonna find is most people are just using it for pedals.
Yeah.
So, Muc-Off carbon compound assembly, pretty straightforward. It's carbon compound assembly. So, yeah, you guys.
C2.
Seat tubes, handlebar stems. Yeah, that's majority what you're gonna use it for. So, they do two, guys and girls. So, do you guys know what makes a woman chamois cream a woman chamois cream?
pH level.
Exactly. Do you guys actually know what pH does? Most people don't.
Not exactly.
No.
I don't think so.
Exactly. It's gonna keep you from having a yeast infection. So, so a guy can use this, no problem. Does smell a little girly. That's probably the main difference, other than the pH balance. Never, ever, ever sell a woman the guy's one because it's not pH balanced. So, yeah. If you have a customer that's, oftentimes I'll use chamois butter as the entry because it's a cheaper product. And if they like it and they want more, it's like, hey, have you tried the Muc-Off? Because that stuff's really nice. If they go Muc-Off, they don't go back to chamois butter. Like it lasts forever. It's really, really, it's shea butter. It's really, really nice.
Goes much further.
It goes much further than your traditional chamois butter. Yeah.
That's good.
Then we get into lubes. So basically you have a few different lubes here. So you're gonna start off, we have your more price point, dry and wet. These are your basic lubes. The dry is a wax-based formula, but not a wax like a White Lightning. It still needs to be degreased and used like a traditional lube.
And still wipe it down.
Still wipe it down,
So
all
you
that.
don't let it evaporate.
No.
Cool.
And then the wet lube is a vegetable oil base. So these are both really good for the planet. They're not harsh at all, and they work fine. You're going to sell them to most of your kind of like average bike consumers. So, yeah.
And the eco-friendly side's always a bonus for a lot of people.
Exactly. Then they have the ceramic lubes. These guys are not eco-friendly. They're petroleum based, but they work so much better. So there's two main things in both these. One, they're infused with ceramic. Ceramic does a couple of things. Ceramic lowers your friction, so it will run faster. The other thing is ceramic bonds to the metal, so it will last longer as well. This should last 2 to 3 times longer than the stuff here. And then on top of that, it's UV, which we already went over. One thing about ceramic, which a lot of people don't know, is ceramic takes time to bond. So if you just lube your chain and then jump on your bike and go for a ride, you're probably gonna find your chain goes noisy fairly fast.
It'll just shoot off.
Yeah, you're gonna be like, what the hell? I just lubed this stuff sucked. You wanna lube it the night before, or more if possible. So basically, if you're gonna just lube your chain right before you ride, go with this stuff. But if you want performance, you want a nice, this stuff's also cleaner. You're gonna find this is a lot cleaner than this. It's gonna be quieter, it's gonna last longer, it's gonna perform better. If you care about that stuff and are willing to lube it the night before, this is definitely the way to go. But
Almost get in the habit of lubing after your ride instead of before your ride.
well,
So it's ready for
so-
the next, unless it's dirty and needs clean.
so my argument is you're probably not cleaning your bike right before you ride. Which also means, and then so I'm gonna go on a tangent here. So Muc-Off has a 3-step process: clean, protect, lube. 90% of the people that are gonna walk up to this rack are gonna be looking for chain lube, and that's why they put it out of sight.
Exactly.
So you know the amount of bikes that come in here, there's generally one of two things. They've never been lubed ever, and it's dry and horrible, or there's so much lube on there, and it's just a dirty, gross mess, right?
Yeah.
And the reality is, I'm gonna throw you guys under the bus here, that's your fault. Because people come in, it's like, hey, I want some chain lube. Oh, cool. Here you go.
Yeah.
And you didn't have the conversation, hey, do you have
need to
degreaser at
clean
home?
before you grease.
And they're like, okay, well, no, I don't have degreaser. Okay. You never, ever, ever put chain lube on until you take off the old chain lube. Because the old chain lube is full of dirt. And now you're just putting lube on top of dirt, which is just making a mess. So I really want, whenever I do these PKs, I always kind of give you guys a challenge, and don't ever sell chain lube without having the conversation of, this is what you need to do. At the very least, it's up to you if you want to do this. I think you should do the spiel on cleaning your frame and your bike, but at the very least, you need to talk about cleaning your drivetrain before you ever put on chain lube. And what I've actually thrown out as a challenge to shops before is something should be added on to every lube sale. Like if you walk away from here with just a chain lube, you kind of lost. So yeah, that's and plus your bike's gonna work better. Like if your bike's working better, you're gonna ride it more. You guys are gonna sell more stuff. This is a win-win for everybody. So, so my argument if you put it, I've never seen anybody clean their bike and then go for a bike ride, right?
Yeah.
Like you clean your bike after your bike ride, so that it's good for your next ride. So, and you should be lubing it after you clean your bike, rather than. Generally, if you're lubing it right before your bike, you're just like, oh, it was a little squeaky before, you didn't clean it, and you're just throwing lube on there. So, the e-bike lubes. So the difference, what makes these e-bike specific is e-bikes, one of the main issues with e-bikes is drivetrains wear out crazy fast. There's too much power, there's too much torque. So what they've done with these is they made a very thick lube. You would never use this on a regular bike because it's literally going to cost you watts. But you got a motor, so what's it matter if you lose a couple of watts if your drivetrain's going to last longer? So that's what the e-bike lube has done. Is it's a thicker, more viscous lube that should keep the drivetrain from wearing out as fast. So that's the main difference on those guys.
So that try to sell them to e-bikes, but don't sell them to a non-e-bike.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. And then down here, just some kits. So they've done some packaged up kits that are basically a better bang for your buck. These kits are my favorite place to send anybody that's coming in looking for presents. You get people all the time around Christmas, birthdays, gradings. Oh, little Timmy, my nephew, he likes to ride bikes. Well, what's he like to ride? Mountain road? I don't know. The reality is, it doesn't matter what kind of bike you have. You're going to use this. You sell them a set of gloves or some socks or something, they're probably going to be in the wrong size. So, like this stuff, even if they already have it, they're going to use more of it.
They'll get to it eventually.
They're going to get to it eventually. So if you're looking for a really foolproof gift for somebody, this is my favorite place to send people. It's going to sell eventually. These kits also do really well. I know you guys are playing around with online stuff a little bit. These kits do really well online. I see a lot of them moving online.
Yeah, probably a lot of people looking for it these days. Probably.
Yeah. Another product. There's two more products that you guys have on the way that aren't here yet. They're been on back order. One is disc brake cleaner, and it's pretty straightforward. It's disc brake cleaner. So you're going to spray it on your rotor and you're going to spray it on your pads. Now, so Muc-Off is big into bicycle, but they're also big into motocross world. Some of their products, like this stuff, is basically the same product with different packaging between the two companies. The bicycle disc brake cleaner is actually a product specifically designed for bicycles. The weight of motorbikes does a good job of burning off contamination. Bicycles don't have that weight behind it, so they actually need a stronger disc brake cleaner than what comes on motorbikes. So there's two main parts to that disc brake cleaner. Number one is it cleans the rotors and it cleans the pads. But the other one, a lot of people don't know this. If you have squeaky disc brakes, it's generally one of two things. It's either contaminated pads or rotors, or it's dehydrated pads. Because as you brake, you're creating a lot of heat that dries out the pads. So the disc brake cleaner is a cleaner and a hydrator. So I always recommend anybody that's new to, like this is the first time getting disc brakes, make sure you give them that. Every time you clean your bike, clean your rotors, clean your pads, just spray it on. And it's a good seller for us. It goes really well. The other one is a product called Silicone Shine. Silicone Shine is a lot like Bike Protect, but it's safe for suspension. So if it gets on your suspension, it won't negatively affect it. Actually, it'll work very similar to the suspension.
Okay, yeah.
It'll help it. So I often push this more towards the road gravel crowd, and the Silicone Shine more towards the mountain biker, because they can just spray it all over and they don't have to be as careful.
And that would then be good for all your linkage and stuff like that too, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Again, it's silicone, so stay away from tire tread and stay away from brakes.
Yeah,
So-
it's slippery.
Exactly. So you do have to be careful on some of that stuff.
So maybe use a guard when I'm doing those
Well,
areas.
they actually have, I'm surprised we didn't get it. I probably missed it. They have a disc brake cover
Okay.
that is designed for washing your bike.
Okay, cool.
So
Keep it safe.
it's plastic on the back, it's neoprene on the front, and it just velcros over your discs, and then basically you don't have to worry. You can just go whoosh, and you're not going to contaminate anything.
Yeah,
So
that's cool.
we also sell a
You
lot
guys
of
have in the shop.
we also sell a lot of them to fat bikers that can't get their bike in their car. So they have to put their bike on the outside of their car to ride to the trails. There's so much salt and crap on the road. Obviously, salt's not good for your disc brakes. Keeps your brakes from getting contaminated as well. So, two sets of tires. So, yeah. Any questions on any of this stuff? Also glow.
Yeah, it's cool with those yellow ones there.
Yeah. So, yeah, and you get it with this one when we get more of those on the top as well. So,
Just no.
translucent, which is really nice because say you have a slow leak, you can't figure out what's going on, you're looking all over the tire, you can't find the leak there. If you pop your tire off, and you can see through this. So if you see sealant underneath the tape, it's obviously there's a leak in the tape.
Yeah.
So the second thing is whenever you cut the tape, you're supposed to do it on a 45-degree angle, and that's the same angle that the wording's at. So you can just follow the wording.
Just follow the lettering.
Exactly.
That's a good.
Yeah. So yeah.
چقدر باحال بود. من خودم که خیلی استفاده کردم، خیلی نکات باحالی گفتن، خیلی چیزای محصولات باحالی داشتن. خیلی خفن بود واقعا. یه برند که میاد تخصصی روی چیزی کار میکنه میشه این. خیلی خوشحالم که تا اینجای ویدیو رو نگاه کردین. تا برنامه بعدی خیلی چاکریم.